Good afternoon everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the Purple Pennies weekly coin video. My name's Mark. I own and run the Purple Penny along with my wife Catherine. As you would know, if you've been watching these videos for a while, we've been doing these videos for about 3 years, and the shop has been here for about 4 years. We have a bricks and mortar coin and banknote and collectible shop in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, Adelaide being the capital of South Australia, which, if you're not from Australia, South Australia is one of the states of Australia. Last week was an interesting week. We had a mix of very busy and very quiet last week. We bought a very large collection of gold and silver a couple of weeks ago, and we've been working our way through that and managed to move on a fair bit of that last week, which was good. And then we've had quite a few purchases come in last week. Nothing really of particular interest that we don't see a lot of, but it's always good to see stuff coming in over the counter. And we had quite a few repeat sellers come in, and that's always nice to see that too. Catherine is out there with Pesto, completing the mailing that has built up over the weekend, as it always does. I'll just say a few hellos here to people that are watching live on Facebook. Hello Peter, Paul, Gwen, Greg, Antonius, Adam, Brad, John. Peter says, why do you have a proof penny rather than a purple one as your logo? That's a great question, Peter. I'll have to answer that one day. Hello Tanya, Mike, Patrick, John. John says, how's the push-ups going? John, the push-ups are going well. If you don't know, Catherine and I decided that I would take part in the Push for Better push-up challenge in June, so I have to do something over 3,100 push-ups in 23 days. There's a different number every day. Each number represents a different statistic. I have to do 160 today. Yesterday was a rest day. If you would like to make a donation to a mental health charity, then there is a link in the description for this video where you can go and do that. Thank you to everyone who has donated so far. It is much appreciated. I get a fair bit out of it as well. It's good for my health, and I am glad that the money is going to mental health charities. I think that's as I said, an underfunded area in Australia here, and every dollar there can help. Hi Peter, sorry, just back here through more names. Patrick, Jason, Ray, how you going Ray? Brett, Jennifer, another Brett, Nelson, and another Jay. Nelson says he doesn't think he's done 160 push-ups in his life. Well, it will take me, hopefully I'll be able to do it in 3 lots. I can usually manage somewhere between 50 and 60 in one go, so hopefully I'll be able to do it in 3 lots. We have a question here already from someone. Brad is asking oh hello Dan, sorry I missed you, and Glenn, I missed you as well, and Ash and Joe, I missed you as well. Mike says it's under 1 degree where he lives, which is a bit cool. Hello Gloria as well, I missed you too. So apologies if I missed anyone there. So Brad is asking what a die clash is. A die clash is when the 2 coin dies, the obverse die and the reverse die, come together and strike each other without a coin blank in between. And sometimes when that happens, you end up with an impression of one die on the other, and every coin struck after that time will show that impression as part of the characteristic of the strike of the coin. So the best example of that is the 2016 changeover 5 cent with the alien die clash. If you're not sure what that is, go away and Google that and you'll find some pictures of that. It shows some antennas coming out of the coin in the middle of the obverse, and those are actually the gaps between the echidna's paws and the echidna's head on the reverse of the coin. So that's what a die clash is. Mariana asks if we'll be doing a push-up video. I think I'd need to see what my form is like to see whether I want to share that with you. Maybe we will. We might do maybe 10 or 20. I do go bright red when I'm doing them, so it's not very attractive. I'll have a talk to Catherine about how we could do that. Hello Michelle and Wendy. And Sandra, how are you going? Right, let's jump. Carolyn from Seminyak. Well, you're viewing when you're on holidays. That's fantastic. Let's jump into the news here. Now, the Mint announced towards the beginning of last week that they're going to do a release on the last Thursday in June. Apparently this is a combination of the May and June releases, we believe. Not really sure, it's all a bit vague. They seem to think that they've been spending a lot of time on the problems they've been having with their website. And anyway, there is a release, which is a good thing, so we'll just have a quick run through what they are. There's two topics of coins that they're releasing. So the first is what they're calling Mob of 30, and this is the 30th anniversary of the release of the 1 ounce kangaroo coin in 1993. They're releasing it in a proof, a frosted unk and a gold coin. You can see the mintages and the prices there. You would probably know that the Mint has released a 1 ounce kangaroo every year, and this is the 30th anniversary of them. The mintages are pretty normal for those sorts of coins. The prices seem to be fairly similar to what we've seen for the last year. Nothing too exciting there, but if you are collecting the kangaroo series, then you'll definitely want one of those. And then the second lot of coins is to do with the FIFA Women's World Cup, which is going to be held here in Australia this year. No doubt this is a release that's being held in conjunction with FIFA. We can tell that because the wholesale allocations, and the wholesale allocations are the numbers of coins offered to the RAM dealer network, are very small. I imagine that most of them are going directly to FIFA or being sold by the Mint themselves. So if you are into World Cup coins, you're going to be lucky to get some of these off of your dealers, because we will hardly be getting any, so you'll have to get them through other means, no doubt, or directly from the Mint. The interesting coin there, I think the one that might be popular, is the aluminium bronze coloured $1 coin. It's got a fairly low price point of $15 there, and I imagine that that's going to be the one that's most desirable for most collectors. The other two coins have got a 1 ounce fine silver proof silver coin for $80. 2023 mintage, good luck getting one of those, and a nice little half-gram $5 gold coin in a holder, a lighthouse slab-like holder, and that one will be pretty well sought after as well, with just 3,000 of those minted. As always, we are taking interest on these things, but we won't be getting enough to keep even remotely our regulars happy, so you'll have to pre-prepare yourself to try and get those directly from the Mint or from a FIFA dealer, whoever they are. Now, interestingly, there were a couple of other releases here that were not made available through the dealer network. It's happened several times this year, so there's a couple of $5 coins. I don't even know what the details of them are. There were a couple of releases in May that reflected that process, so these are what I think the Mint calls corporate minting. So a corporate customer sponsors these mintings, and they get the lion's share of the mintage, and the Mint gets a smaller percentage of the mintage to sell. Now, I'll just put my tinfoil hat on here. I think the Mint's probably going to be moving away from using their dealer network. They've been spending a lot of money on their website trying to get that performing well. They obviously make more money out of these corporate mintings than what they do out of making stuff themselves. And I just wonder if over time they're not going to release less and less products through dealers like us and either sell it directly or sell it through corporate partners. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it has happened quite a few times this year, and this is the third month in a row where we're not getting things that they're selling. And it is a bit disappointing for us, simply because our customers don't come and buy it off of us. They've got to go somewhere else. Now, if you'd watched these videos before, you would know that the English Treasury has removed paper notes from circulation. So in October last year, they removed paper notes from circulation. They still hold face value, but they're not legal tender anymore. So to recover your money from those paper notes, you have to take them into a bank, or some post offices accept them. Interestingly, there is still over $1 billion of paper notes in in circulation in the UK that haven't been turned in. There's some numbers there that you can see: 111 million pounds of 5 pounders, 198 million pounds of 20 pounders, and there's still 87 million pounds of round £1 coins, and they were removed from circulation several years ago. So there's a lot of money sitting there in people's money boxes and wallets and under mattresses and things like that. And I imagine that at some point the British Treasury might just say, that's it, time's up, and you won't be able to get your money back one way or another. That's certainly what New Zealand did when they changed to the smaller coins back in 2004. So I just wonder if the UK government isn't going to do the same. The next item was an Anglo-Saxon coin hoard, and I will thank Sandra for pointing this one out to me. It's what's called the Lenborough Horde, which was found in Buckinghamshire back in 2014. The gentleman who found it picked out a field to metal detect based on some strange markings that he saw on Google Earth, and he was metal detecting the field, and he got a huge signal, and he almost passed over it because he thought it was a manhole cover. He couldn't believe that was such a big signal from coins, but he decided to dig it up anyway, and he recovered 5,248 silver pennies that were minted from about 985 AD through to about 1030 AD, and all of the coins span the reigns of just 2 Anglo-Saxon kings, Ethelred the Unready and Canute. Now, it's quite a remarkable amount of money. They guess that those 5,248 pennies represented 20 years of savings of an entire family, and why they were in that field is unknown. Now, what is really interesting to me, this was discovered recently, was the fact that the entire hoard is now on display in the Discover Bucks Museum, which is a museum in Buckinghamshire, and you can see that image up the left there is the coins actually on display in that museum, and they've got them all mounted on the roof and the wall and the ceilings in a secure chamber, and I would love to go and view that. I think that would be a remarkable thing to see. Interestingly, it's not the biggest Anglo-Saxon hoard that's ever been found. That was found in 1820, and that had more than 7,000 coins in the hoard. Now, we'll just jump back to the news slide here. Some World Economic Body did a study on gender equality around the world, and part of that study was looking at the representation of women on banknotes. And while Australia probably hasn't done as best as it could in terms of gender equality, they do rank pretty much first in the world in terms of gender representation on banknotes, with 5 out of our 9 issued banknotes displaying women on them. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider that the survey only found 80 banknotes worldwide that displayed women on them, the fact that we have 5 of them is pretty remarkable. So that was an interesting observation there on our banknotes. Now, I will just pop in a reminder here about the Adelaide Coin and Banknote Expo. Planning for that is still moving ahead, so that is on at the Torrens Parade Grounds in the middle of Adelaide here on Saturday and Sunday, October the 7th and 8th. Free admission, free parking. Last year's show went off like a frog in a sock. This year's show no doubt will be good too, so if you are in Adelaide, please come along. If you are interested in coin shows, then do come along, even if you're from interstate. It is the best coin show in Australia at the moment, and I'm sure this year will be even better. So if you are able to take part in that, please do come along. Right, topic of the week is coin cleaning, and this is on the basis of some coins that I posted up on our Facebook page last week. We bought a very large collection of pre-decimal coins a little while back, and the gentleman who put that collection together had bought them all from a very well-known dealer here in Adelaide from the 1960s and 1970s, and if I said his name you'd know who he was. And there was a collection of florins and shillings in there that were in an old PVC album, and a large percentage of the silver coins in those albums had been silver dipped. Now, silver dipping is the process of putting a silver coin into a mildly acidic solution and that removes what some people consider to be ugly toning and things like that from the surfaces of the coin, brightens the coin up, and in some people's minds makes it more saleable and more attractive. Now I don't really agree with that. I don't really agree with silver dipping at all. Sometimes it can be useful, but very occasionally. This entire florin and shilling collection, apart from maybe 10 or 15 coins, had been silver dipped, some of them sympathetically, and by sympathetically I mean very briefly, others not so sympathetically. So I thought, based on the questions I got asked in that Facebook post, that we just have a look at cleaning again, because we haven't done it for a little while. Right, so what is cleaning? Now, from a numismatic point of view, cleaning is irreparably altering the surface of the coin in an attempt to improve its appearance. That's what I believe it to be. So, for example, over dipping in silver dip, so that you actually remove some of the surface of the coin and impair the surface of the coin. Polishing with a silver cloth, brushing it, putting it in, so putting copper coins in acidic solutions such as Coke and things like that. These are things that no matter how long the coin sits there for, that cannot be recovered from. You will never ever be able to unclean a coin that has been cleaned improperly. It has taken away the luster, it's removed the natural surfaces of the coin, whatever you want to call it. It's left hairlines on the coin. It is an action that cannot be reversed. Now, over silver dipping a coin cannot be reversed, whereas a very quick dip of a coin might just remove a little bit of dark toning, but in time the toning will return. Polishing a coin with a silver cloth cannot be reversed. Putting a copper coin in Coke cannot be reversed. So those pictures that you can see there are of a shilling there on the left. If you look closely at it, you'll see hairlines going from the top right of the coin down to the bottom left, and which is a sign of abrasive cleaning. And if you look sort of around the back end of the emu and the top of its leg, you'll see dark debris there. That's a sign that someone has actually silver dipped this coin. And silver dipping, while it can remove some of the toning on a coin, it generally doesn't remove heavy toning or dark debris or things like that. So it's a fairly obvious thing to look out for. On the right there is a 1920 dot below penny, which was uncirculated. A lady came in here one day, or rang me up one day and said she had it, and I said to her, well, just bring it in, don't clean it or anything. And she brought it in the next day and thought that she'd give it a polish anyway. And if you look at that coin, you can see hairlines in front of the king's face there, sort of leading down from his nose to the bottom left. So those two coins have been cleaned in a manner that cannot be reversed. Cannot be reversed. Now, what do collectors think? Well, some collectors don't like toned coins. They don't like dark coins, and they like their coins bright and shiny and so on and so forth. But there are more collectors who, I won't say are more educated, but perhaps have a bit more taste, that understand that coins do change over time and are happy to accept the natural patina and surfaces that coins have. Now, I will say that often the appreciation for originality of coins comes with time. As you become more experienced, you come to appreciate them more. And perhaps when you are first getting into collecting coins, you are more drawn to the supposed bright and shiny and better condition coins. Now, what do dealers think? Here we do not agree with coin cleaning. We do not agree with irreparable coin cleaning. But there are dealers still, and certainly in the past, who believe that, for example, pre-decimal silver had to be bright white for it to be saleable. And as a result, every piece of silver that came through their possession, that whether they were going to try and sell individually, they would acid dip it to remove any coloration on the surfaces of the coin. Now, what do PCGS think? PCGS, despite what some people say, will grade coins that have not been irreparably cleaned. So they will grade coins that have been silver dipped sympathetically, or coins that have been perhaps had debris removed with solvent such as acetone. What they will not grade are coins that have been cleaned irreparably, so coins that have been dipped to the point where they are dull and lifeless. They will not grade coins with hairlines. They will not grade coins that have had spots taken off of them. They will not grade coins that have had acetone scratched off, verdigris scratched off of them. So they will not grade coins that have their surfaces altered irreparably. So PCGS are quite firm on this, but just because their holders say improperly cleaned doesn't mean that they won't hold coins that have been cleaned. They will not hold coins that have been improperly cleaned. So should you be worried? Generally, if you are collecting pre-decimal coins, then yeah, it's something that you should look out for, because coins that are not packaged up, such as decimal coins and things like that, can be cleaned, and unwittingly sometimes by collectors, and wittingly by the wives or the husbands of collectors who think that they're doing the right thing, and then by dealers themselves, and then also collectors will try to improve their coins. So it is something that you should be worried about, and something that you should learn to pick. Okay, it is something that you should learn to pick. Right, let's just look at some questions before we go on to the next slide. Brandon says tone coins are increasingly popular. I love tone coins. I think they're fantastic. Mike says that cleaning takes away luster. Thank you, Mike, for that. Brandon says clean coins won't grade or will receive details recognition. Now, that's not 100% correct, Brandon. They will not grade improperly clean coins. So let's say, for example, you got a uncoloured 2012 poppy and it had some schmutz stuck to it, and you treated it gently with a Q-tip roll dipped in acetone and rolled it gently over the surfaces to remove that bit of gunge. PCGS would grade that coin, given that you didn't affect the surfaces, because they wouldn't even know it had been done. Whereas if you harshly scrubbed at that coin to remove the bit of crud, they would not grade it, because it would have hairlines in the surface of the metal of the coin. Alright. Ash says he loves the toning. It shows a journey like faces, scars and wrinkles. Thanks for sharing that, Ash. Sandy says, do they do a cleaning? Now, Sandy, that's a great question. PCGS do something called restoration, and that's what they call a sympathetic cleaning. So that might be a light acid dip. It might be treatment with solvent to remove surface debris. It could be to remove lacquer off the surface of a coin. But I will just say, even though they restore the coin, they don't necessarily give it a grade. There are some coins that cannot be restored sympathetically, so they will do their best to remove the solvent or whatever, but if it has affected the surfaces of the coin irreparably, then they still won't grade it. Okay, they still won't grade it. Peter says, it is so much fun telling a collector that their supposed choice Unk Silver bought years ago from a well-known dealer, hang on a second, are actually polished and dipped EF. Yes, it's never fun, Peter. It is absolutely never fun, and that's what some of the florins and shillings in this collection are like. And they will be appearing on our website over the next few weeks, and they will be described appropriately. So if you are looking at our website, do take notes of what we say. Nathan Nelson says, how do you look out for clean coins? Do I bring a magnifying glass? A lot of the time, Nelson, you can pick a clean coin without a glass, and it is simply the matter of recognising genuine luster from a polished brightness. And the only way you can do that is by looking at as many coins as possible, ideally with a sympathetic expert with you, pointing out the difference between the two. So knowing the difference between cartwheel luster and artificial brightness is an important thing to know, and you will get to the point where you can pick it from the other side of the room. Okay, so you don't necessarily need a glass. Right, Antonia says, how about a light soap clean? I'm just going to talk about that shortly. Justin says he has a genuine AU graded clean crown proof, kept as it is hard to come by. For ultra low mintage coins such as proof crowns, sometimes the only affordable example is an impaired example, and it doesn't, just because it's clean doesn't change what it is. It's still a proof crown, so I can understand, Justin, why you have done that. Brandon says, sounds a bit like Russian roulette. If it's a valuable, simply don't touch it as your best bet. Brandon, that's why PCGS grading is popular, because it is a reasonable assurance that a coin is not improperly cleaned, and the fact that it is in the holder and can't be touched means that it can't be improperly cleaned while it's in that holder. Paul says, a point source lighting, e.g. single LED, will reveal hairlines. Thanks, Paul, for that tip. Glenn says rainbow pre-decimals are amazing to look at. Thank you, Glenn, for sharing that with us. Right, second slide here. Silver dip versus acetone. So the pictures up the top there are a 1937 crown, which is this 1937 crown here that I pulled out of our scrap box. On the left there, that's what the crown looked like when I pulled it out of the box. So it's quite dull, it's got black spots on it. Now, and if you look below the king's chin, leading from the king's chin down to his neck, there's a diagonal sort of grungy mark there. I have taken that coin, taken a picture of it straight out of our scrap box, and then what I've actually done is treated it with acetone. So I've taken a cotton bud, dipped it in acetone, and then rolled the cotton bud over the surface of the coin. And it is important that you roll the cotton bud over the surface of the coin, because all you're doing there is allowing the acetone to dissolve any organic material that happens to be on the surface of the coin, such as finger oils or PVC residue or other bits and pieces. So if you look at the middle photo there, that's what the coin looks like after I have treated it with acetone. So you'll notice that that sort of orangey gungy mark below the king's chin has disappeared, and you'll also notice that sort of around the king's cheek and at his eyebrows and in his hair that it is ever so slightly brighter. And that's simply because whatever sort of organic crud was on the surfaces of the coin have now been removed, and that the actual coin itself becomes more reflective and brightens up slightly in photographs. So that sort of cleaning, if done properly, is undetectable. It is completely undetectable because you haven't altered the surfaces of the coin, you've just taken crud off the surfaces that weren't there before. Now on the right there, it's the same coin, but what I've done is put that in silver dip for 5 seconds. I've rinsed it off and sterilised it, and then given it a rinse in acetone, and then taken a photo of it again. So what you'll notice there is, firstly, it is noticeably brighter. What I haven't shown is that some residual luster in the devices has now become apparent on that coin, which you couldn't see before. But you'll also notice that a lot of those black spots, and they're actually corrosion on the surface of the metal, a lot of those black spots haven't been removed, and that's typical of silver dip. Silver dip isn't an easy thing to use, and it doesn't solve all the problems either. So to remove those black spots in silver dip, you would have to dip this coin for a longer amount of time. The longer you dip it for, the more of the metal surface it removes, and you would find that in time any residual luster would actually disappear because you are removing the microstructure on the surface of the coin. So the story that I always tell here is about a highly graded Morgan dollar. Peter might correct me here, but I believe it was an MS68 worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and someone purchased the coin, broke it out of the slab, dipped it very poorly in an attempt to brighten it up and perhaps get to MS69, and then resubmitted it for grading, and it had actually dropped a point. So they had dipped it for so long that the luster had been impaired, and the coin came back in MS67, and they wiped off over $100,000 of value because they did something stupid. So that's the difference between silver dip and acetone. We almost never use silver dip here. We use acetone to remove PVC residue from coins that have been in PVC albums. Another option is ultrasonic cleaning. So ultrasonic cleaning is cleaning of items in a detergent bath in an ultrasonic cleaner. Theoretically, all that should do is remove any loose debris off the surface of the coin. It shouldn't, if the basket itself doesn't cause damage to the coin, it shouldn't cause any noticeable damage to the coin itself. Can you clean grubby coins? Yeah, if you want to. If you've got a whole bunch of really dirty, gross pennies and you want to put them in an album, then you're probably going to be okay to wash them in warm soapy water. So sort of, perhaps rub them gently between your thumb and forefinger in warm soapy water, and I do mean very gently, and then rinse them off in clean water and then leave them to air dry on a paper towel. Where you will go wrong is if you do the next thing, which is polishing them, and that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to polish them with a scour or rub at them with a cloth or anything like that. there are people who attempt to clean and retone copper. So there are chemicals available that will retone copper. So they will take a copper coin that has been polished or put in something acidic, and then you can put it in this chemical and it turns it dark. Now, it is apparent always that that is fake. There was a dealer in Melbourne who did that with all of his coins, or used boot polish and things like that to hide up cleaning marks. So it's another thing that with experience you will learn to pick. And the last one here is so-called restoration, which I touched on before. Restoration is a service that's offered by PCGS and NGC, and that's where they will attempt to clean a coin sympathetically, whether it be to remove a spot or to remove PVC residue or to remove lacquer, to remove ugly toning. Now, as I said, it doesn't mean that they're going to grade the coin. Don't think that if you have a horrific coin that isn't gradable, that just submitting it to them for restoration means that they are going to give it a numerical grade. There's no guarantee that they will, and I've heard in some cases they will actually refuse to attempt restoration on the coin. Right, that's cleaning. Difficult topic, and one that we do get asked about a lot. The rule of thumb is if you don't know what you're doing, don't do anything. And that the reason for that is that if it is a valuable coin and you don't know what you're doing, then you will remove value from the coin. If it isn't a valuable coin and you don't know what you're doing, then you're wasting your time, because taking sort of a dirty, gross 1924 penny that is well worn and cleaning it up isn't going to turn it into anything other than a well worn 1924 penny. Okay, right, let's have a look at a few comments here. Peter says it was an 1893 S Morgan. Thanks for sharing that, Peter. Paul says use distilled water, not tap water, for final rinses. Stephen says how much to restore. Stephen, I believe it's either a fixed fee or a percentage of the value of the coin, depending on the value of the coin. You'd need to actually ask them directly. Brandon says never understood the need to clean coins. It takes away the character of the coin. Yeah, I agree, Brandon. I think that should be left alone. And Justin says pricing of PCGS restoration is upon application. Thanks for sharing that with us, Justin. I wasn't aware of that. John says to comment on Verticare. So Verticare is a chemical that was created by someone about 15 years ago that helps to neutralise verdigris. Verdigris is copper cancer, so Verticare is a product you can buy to put on verdigris, and it will kill verdigris and stop the spread of it. It does leave it is apparent afterwards that the coin has had verdigris on it. It doesn't magically restore the surfaces of the coin, and I would suggest that if you submitted copper to a grading company that has had verdigris neutralised with Verticare, that it would still not grade. That would be my suggestion. It's not a magic potion that makes the coin restores the coin back to its previous condition. All it does is neutralise the verdigris, because verdigris spreads and continues to grow over time. It is a good product, and we've used it on a few copper coins that have had cancer on them, just so that we can keep them in our collection and know that they weren't going to keep degrading in the folder. Peter says that PCGS would grade it spot removed, and that's probably right. Thank you, Peter, for sharing that. Thank you for the question, John. It's much appreciated. Right, that's it for today. What a great topic. I do like this topic. There's no, like so many things in numismatics, there's no yes or no answer. There's no one definition to what cleaning is and what cleaning is appropriate and what's not. I guess over time you will become more, flexible about what you think is correct and not correct. I will just say, if you are thinking about using acetone, don't use it on proof coins, please. It can affect the surfaces of proof coins. So if you are tempted to give acetone a go, it is a noxious chemical. It will make you sick if you breathe it in too much or if you drink it. So just be really careful and don't put proof coins in acetone, because you will wreck them. Right, bye everyone. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure. Happy collecting. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.